Are all the critics here?
Well, I'm going anyway.
Mitch and Murray sent me down here on a mission of mercy. The good news is you got a great Indiana Jones movie to review. The bad news is you're fired.
Oh, have I got your attention now?
You've got good movies. Mitch and Murray Entertainment paid you good money to review those movies. Put that popcorn down. Popcorn is for critics only. Are you serious?
You think I'm fucking with you? I am not fucking with you.
What's your name? Gleberman? You call yourself a critic, you son of a bitch? You call Dial of Destiny a joyless piece of nostalgic hokum minus the thrill, you son of a bitch? The story is weak. The story's weak? The fucking story's weak?
You're weak.
As you're aware, Mitch and Murray is having a little bit of a critics contest this month. You want to know what first prize is? First prize is the Ark of the Covenant. Anyone want to guess what second prize is? Second prize is the Sankara Stones. Third prize is we make you drink from the wrong Grail cup. This is ridiculous. What's your name?
Fuck you! That's my name!
All right, time to get dialed in. In 1944, Nazis capture Allied spies and archaeologists Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, and Basil Shaw, Toby Jones. The two are attempting to intercept a Nazi cargo train that Hitler believes contains the mythical Lance of Longinus, the spear that pierced Christ's side at his crucifixion. Unbeknownst to the pair, however, the train also contains a piece of the Antikythera mechanism, the fabled Archimedes dial. It's an artifact Nazi astrophysicist Jürgen Voller, Mads Mikkelsen, believes could help Germany win the war. 25 years later, in 1969, a 70-year-old Jones struggles with the ravages of time. He's being forced into retirement, his students no longer find him interesting, and worst of all, his wife Marion, Karen Allen, has filed for separation. When Indy's goddaughter Helena Shaw, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, unexpectedly shows up looking for the dial, Indy is swept up into a final globe-trotting adventure that could alter the course of history. If you follow this channel at all, you already know what a titanic Indiana Jones fan I am. Not only is Raiders of the Lost Ark my favorite all-time film, but Indiana Jones is also my favorite all-time movie character. I adore this franchise. Yes, even Crystal Skull. And when plans began for a fifth adventure, I couldn't help but get excited. What would the MacGuffin be? What villains would Indy face? Would Harrison Ford still possess the vim and vigor to make this a whip-cracking addition to the franchise? I've followed Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny every day since cameras started rolling in June of 2021. Hyped? If Flava Flav and Don King somehow had a love child, the resulting progeny couldn't have been more hyped than myself. After having seen the film twice now, I'm ecstatic to report that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is fantastic. While by no means a perfect film that doesn't compare to the 80s classics, it nevertheless possesses all the staples we love from an Indiana Jones flick while offering moments and plot choices that are fresh and invigorating. I'm confounded by the early reviews that refer to this film as soulless, dour, woke, and boring. I found Dial of Destiny to be none of those things, to the point that I felt like we watched two entirely different movies. My suspicion is that too many critics felt this movie needed to live up to the majesty of the originals. That's lunacy. The Sankara Stones have already fallen into the river, my dudes. Since the joy of an Indiana Jones movie revolves around the mystery of the MacGuffin, I'm going to do my best to avoid spoilers in this review. Suffice it to say that director James Mangold's effort looks and feels like an Indiana Jones movie from the jump. The punches, the Wilhelm scream, the narrow escapes, the chases, the booby traps, the exotic locales, it's all there. His love of the character and the franchise bleeds across every shot. Within 60 seconds, I was fully immersed again in the world of Indiana Jones. Believe me when I say that the opening 15 to 20 minute sequence ranks right up there with any of the other four movies. I mean, trying to stop a moving train full of archaeological relics that's crawling with Nazis and about to be bombed by the Allies? It doesn't get much more Indiana Jones than that. My only minor gripes were that Mangold chose not to have any on-screen text that said Nuremberg 1944 or New York City 1969. And while the traditional crossfade with a map and red line for travel was present, it went a little too fast for my liking. What I really appreciated about Mangold's entry was the use of practical effects and the decision to film on location. For the life of me, I don't understand the criticism the Dial of Destiny is lost in a sea of CGI. Yes, there is a decent amount of CGI in the film, particularly the de-aging of Ford, which works about 90% of the time, but people are acting like this is the second coming of the Scorpion King. This is a movie that uses real motorcycles, a real train, real tuk-tuks, real extras, real boats, and real underwater sequences. It also filmed on location in England, Scotland, Sicily, and Morocco. The set pieces, particularly Archimedes' tomb, felt authentic and lived in. This is in vast contrast to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which never filmed outside of the United States and relied almost exclusively on CGI. Additionally, while it's important to have foundational indie tropes, you must avoid sinking in a sea of nostalgia. Thankfully, James Mangold manages to avoid this by giving audiences things they haven't seen before. This includes the opening sequence, as I previously mentioned, a tuk-tuk chase sequence in the middle of Tangiers, and a deep-sea diving moment where Indy and Helena look for a Graphicos tablet. Hell, even the dial itself and its functionality isn't mystical, but mathematical, although just like every other major indie artifact, its function is never quite what you expect. Granted, the script could have been tighter, there are 4 different people credited, and the runtime shortened, but every time the movie felt like it was slowing down, it picked right back up. A word of warning, however, the third act is a big swing that not everyone will be down with, but I happen to love. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny sports a phenomenal supporting cast as well. Ethan Isidore's Teddy, a Moroccan pickpocket, could have come off like a cheap knockoff of Short Round, but he's anything but, aside from how he hooked up with Helena, however. Going into Dial of Destiny, I thought I was going to hate his character, but he turned out to be funny, engaging, courageous, and wily. Phoebe Waller-Bridge also crushes it as Helena Shaw, an archaeological mercenary who's seemingly only in it for the money. Think Belloc light. Bridge is captivating every time she's on screen. Whether it's the physicality of trying to recover the dial from a moving car, or trying to outwit and talk her way out of a desperate situation on a boat, you can't take your eyes off of her. In many ways, she's not a sidekick, but a co-lead along with Ford. Franchise favorite Sallah, John Rhys-Davies, also shows up in a few key pivotal scenes, as does Marion, Karen Allen, but I won't say when or why. Suffice it to say that both of their returns were welcome. Every Indiana Jones movie needs a strong, dynamic villain, and thankfully, James Mangold picked a great one in Mads Mikkelsen. As Jürgen Voller is a stand-in for the real-life Werner von Braun, the ex-Nazi scientist who helped NASA land a man on the moon. Unlike Braun, however, there's nothing X about this Nazi. Voller seeks to use the dial to correct the mistakes of the past and is willing to kill anyone that stands in his way. Trust me when I tell you, his goal is not at all what I was expecting. His staunch belief in the ideals of fascism makes him dangerous and malevolent, a concept made patently obvious by a scene between Voller and a black bellhop. As Mads' character states early on, you didn't win the war. Hitler lost it. While I reserve the right to change my mind with subsequent viewings, right now Mads Voller is my third favorite indie villain behind Belloc and Molaram. Then there's Harrison Ford. While Ford's famously shown indifference, sometimes outright disdain, to his other iconic role, Han Solo, you can never say the same thing about Indiana Jones. He absolutely adores this character and playing him. And he was all in. Ford's clearly having the time of his life, and at 79, at least at the time of filming, wears the hip, the jacket, and the hat like an old pro. Ford knows how much this character means to others, and as always, Indy remains the iconic hero we have come to know and love. Ford leans into the fact that this is an older Indiana Jones, as mobility issues are often offset by being on horses, tuk-tuks, boats, planes, and in scuba gear. Still looks like a badass doing it, though. Yet Ford and Mangold don't shy away from examining the humanity of Indiana Jones and how the ravages of time have changed him. In a movie where the theme of time is paramount, Indy himself has become a man out of time. His students find him boring, the global landscape of 1969 is much morally grayer than the black and white good guys versus bad guys world of 1944, and grief and time have caught up to him. There's a scene on a boat involving the fate of his son Mutt, and another scene late in the third act that had me tearing up. Yet for all this examination of humanity, Indiana Jones remains every ounce a hero. Ultimately, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny makes for a thrilling conclusion to one of the greatest movie characters in the history of cinema. If you're looking for fortune and glory with this one, believe me, you will find it. And that's why I'm giving Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny a 9 out of 10. It is absolutely excellent.